Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the little master himself. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the man who's embodied mastery at the core. Sachin Tendulkar, ladies and gentlemen, come on. You can do better than that. Put your hands together. Thank you so much for being here today, Sachin. I'm sure before anything else, everyone here in this room wants to hear from you.
Namaskar everyone, this is a wonderful moment. To come to Delhi is always special and I want to thank all of you for being here. I want to thank Mahesh and team SMARTRON. I think to introduce this SRT phone on my 44th birthday, normally people don't like to disclose their age but I have no choice here, is really special. And there are many things happening around my birthday. That starts from my movie, which is going to launch soon. But the biggest surprise was on my birthday when I was there being interviewed by Matthew Hayden. And then suddenly the birthday cake is there and the whole stadium starts singing happy birthday. You're not used to all these things, especially when you're 44. It can become a little bit embarrassing. I didn't know where to look, but such is the love and affection, and however much you get, it's not enough. So continue loving me, continue blessing me. It means a lot to me. I think with the help of this phone, when they shared this idea that on my birthday they want to introduce a new phone which has better technology and better experience as far as the users are concerned. That is something which I back, and I am emotionally attached to this brand more so because it's the first Indian engineered and designed brand, and that means a lot because I believe India has to take something to the rest of the world and not the rest of the world bringing things to India. And this is our beginning. I know there are going to be plenty of hurdles and challenges, and all of us at Team SMARTRON are committed to take up all those challenges and make sure that it's a wonderful experience to use this phone and beyond. I just want to tell Mahesh that continue to follow your dreams, because dreams do come true, and I'm really happy to be part of that dream. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sachin. We'd like you to take a seat, please, before anything else, Mahesh, and you do settle in. It's interesting when he said 44, because his love for the game is still like that. The childlike exuberance that you exhibit towards the game that you've played with such distinction, Sachin, is still the same. It's like a 4-year-old, and that's the reason why I say, when you say 44, it's like a mirror image of 4. And what this phone is all about is also a mirror image of all that SRT stands for. And that's the reason why it's called the SRT phone. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point of time, I'd like to invite on stage Mr. Amit Boni, who is the Vice President Sales and Marketing of SMARTRON. Amit, can we have you come up on stage? कहते हैं कि अगर मैच खेलने जा रहे हैं तो सबसे पहले वेन्यू तक पहुंचना जरूरी है, स्ट्रैटेजी बनानी जरूरी है. So he's the man with the strategy, the marketing strategy, and of course the sales push as well. Amit, please have a seat. The fact that he makes sure that the phone gets to you. Also chit chat का समय. Mahesh, may I request you to hand that phone to Sachin as well, because थोड़ी सी जुगलबंदी करनी बनती है इस टाइम पे. 44 mirror image 4-4. So I have to ask something from Sachin about the cricketing perspective. We all know the numbers, Sachin. There was an AV that played, and we're in awe of the numbers. When you look at them in entirety, when you look at them in individual achievements, they're amazing. But behind that came a lot of hard work, the technicals, the fundamentals, something that were groomed at an early age. Just talk us through that.
With the introduction of newer formats in cricket, something which I've always believed and my coach taught me was to have a solid foundation. And those years in my life were really, really important. Practicing at Shivaji Park as an 11-year-old, 12-year-old, I was focused on getting things right. I knew that if I could get the foundation right and solid, then on that you can construct a lot of things. So I always believed in that. In test cricket, your technique is tested, and that's why I'd like to believe that it's called test cricket. It always continues to test you. You can't take things for granted. Whereas I still feel that in a T20 format, you need not actually have correct technique. If you have the ability to hit the ball, if you are creative, if you are innovative, you can still manage to score runs without being technically solid. Whereas I think in test cricket, the bowlers are constantly trying to get you out. Yes, they like to bowl dot balls, but eventually you have to get 10 wickets. That is not the case in T20 or even in one-day cricket. So I always felt that test format was more challenging, and for that, to have a solid foundation was the most important factor.
Now that's an interesting part because, Amit, the fact is that we say the SRT phone is mirrored on all that Sachin's achieved. He says test cricket is the real test, the long run. SRT phone here for the long run through SMARTRON, and what have you done to embody those fundamentals?
Well, if we have to emulate anything that comes remotely close to Sachin, it has to be an exceptional thing. As you can see, we call it the perfect match, just like Sachin has had many of those.
No, there's a different perfect match for him, I'm sorry. That is gone, but this is different.
So our view has been, if we could come out with something that really is cutting edge, that will last everyone a lifetime, and give them ability and use cases that don't necessarily exist today. So we have tried to, as I said, emulate Sachin's achievements in our own form, in the technology world as much as we could. And that's what this device is going to be all about.
Fantastic. So that's one interesting part. I had to interject for that perfect match with Sachin. I'm sure you'll stand by me on that. But there's one thing that's fabled. The fact that you've got, people talk about the memory of an elephant, but as a cricketer, you've got unlimited memory. You remember each and every one of your dismissals.
I don't forget those bowlers.
And who's got you out how and how many times, and so on and so forth. How did that pan out? Was it something that you developed consciously, or did it just happen?
You only get better from your past experiences. And if you forget your experiences from the past, how does one get better? It is simple. For me to continue getting better in cricket, I had to remember each and everything. And to me, I feel, I'm carrying a phone here. Phone के पास छोटी chip होती है computer, but this is the greatest computer of them all. And phone manages your life. But on the field, I had to manage my life with the help of a cricket bat. Sorry, pardon me, I've got a sore throat. But I think, I remember many of my friends have told me कि इस bowler ने इतनी बार out किया है, सिर्फ इतनी बार नहीं, उससे थोड़ा कम किया है. So I actually made them count those dismissals कि कहाँ out हुआ, कैसे out हुआ, किसने catch पकड़ा और कौन सा ground था. So they surrendered eventually, but something which means a lot to me, something which has stayed in my heart throughout my life, and something that I care about. I'm expected to know everything. I don't think I'm doing anything special. If I don't, then I need to work harder.
Well, that's very modest words coming through from the man who's pretty much achieved something that we can only dream of. But this bit about memory and how Sachin's just talked about the fact that it's an extension of yourself now on your palm with a mobile phone and all the expectations that you have from it. He said, I've got this memory chip which is unbelievable. What does the phone have?
By the way, I said, इससे ज़्यादा ये computer काम करता है मगर this has got 64 GB. On the cloud, it's unlimited.
Wow. So Amit, what do you add to that?
No, fair point. And Sachin rightly pointed out, when heart of our device, as he said, is a chip. Heart of the device for us is the chipset. We have just some benchmark scores out here, and we wanted to kind of answer it in that way. we have put in the best of the class chipset in our device. And because we do believe that is the heart and that pumps the lifeblood into the device. So if you see these metrics out here, if you compare SRT phone to anything else in its price category, or even performance categories, it goes much beyond to that. And it starts for us from having a Qualcomm 652 processor, 1.8 gigahertz octa-core, Adreno 510 GPU, but all of that coupled with a 4 gig of RAM. Now when you have something like that together, you can easily expect a 30 to 50% higher performance. And so yeah, to Sachin's point, the chip is the heart of it. And why we do believe that this comes closer to being the top of the line is, as I said, in its category, we're probably the only ones who are doing this, while still there are a lot of people stuck on the old 625s of the series and trying to do things. We wanted to have something which could at least mirror Sachin's thought processes and how he was thinking and what things that he was trying to accomplish in a way, and have that ethic of performance in there for the device.
So that's the chipset, and there's the memory as well. You've got it on the T Cloud, is that?
Absolutely. Along with this, what we're also doing is we are giving a 64 gigs of internal memory and unlimited T Cloud access on the device. Now that makes us probably the only brand globally to give unlimited cloud access. Now, what we are also doing by doing that is we have an analytics engine that sits on our cloud that gives your experience is very seamless, right? It's not as if you have to break your experience. It's kind of racked. Now, pictures, memories, data, movies, anything that you have, go put it out there, and you will never ever have to delete anything that you have had a memory on. Just like Sachin mentioned, he's never had to rethink any of these things again.
I'm sure of that. And there's a lot of cherished memories up here in this memory chip, which you would never want to delete. Sachin, for everyone who's followed your cricketing career, they've seen you play in varied circumstances. You've traveled the world, played, in different countries, in different playing conditions. So, at times the pitch is different, the outfield plays differently, the overall light conditions are very different, especially I'm talking test cricket as well. The entire condition changes through the day. So there's something interesting that happened in Zimbabwe that I would like to know from you regarding the light conditions and, what kind of conditions you played in.
See, normally you get slow outfields, slow pitches, wet outfield sometimes. There is a lot of dew. And the style of play changes suddenly, and people wonder why. When you can't grip the ball, and all those things are now discussed on air. But something which I experienced in Zimbabwe was completely different. We were playing in Zimbabwe test match, and I think the the pitch positioning rather, was slightly different, where one side screen was really bright, whereas the other side had shadow on it, so the light was different there. But what I constantly had to make adjustments on was, whenever I was facing the brighter side, in between the overs when I was discussing how we should build this partnership and all that with non-striker, I was constantly looking at the screen and getting adjusted to the brightness of the screen, because that was something I have never experienced after that also. Maybe occasionally in Sharjah when a day-night game would start, and sometimes in the afternoon, the beginning of the game, you would get that light. But also, I think to understand that your eyes take a little bit of time to get adjusted to that light and to pick the release point. Because if 90% of the batting is at the release point, and if you miss that release point, then you are playing a catching up game. And for us, it was more to do with being ahead of the opposition and understanding that release point and then planning your shot. But that was something which I did not experience in other parts of Zimbabwe. It was only that one particular ground which I experienced. You obviously end up playing in certain parts of the world where the natural light is not that good, the background is all dark. It's not a welcoming light, is what I would say. But there are certain grounds where the soil is slightly on the reddish side, as we call it, where the game is always true and also the light helps. So overall, I think to have a good light. Now, if I have to compare, then I think that has to be the screen of this phone, because with the side screen, I can only compare one screen.
Yeah, the displays for this particular phone. For all of you who are just wondering which match we're talking about, you could have missed it in the commercial breaks that happened between overs. But Sachin, you actually were walking back very peculiarly.
Look, I was walking backwards a number of occasions. I would not lose that contact because eyes do take time to adjust to light, and we get literally max 60 seconds in between overs.
I hope the bowler didn't misconstrue it as if you were glaring him down. Imagine the bowler's going to bowl and he's walking back like this, telling you, hang on, I'll take you on. I hope they didn't misconstrue. But Amit, talking about the display here, very interesting scenario. We talked about varying conditions. How does the display of this phone measure up?
So from a pure specification perspective, we have a 5.5 inch full HD IPS display. But if I had to draw a comparative, I think it's a brilliant any condition display. So even if you're out in sun, your ability to see what's on the screen doesn't get diminished. So I mean, if there was some kind of a panel in the middle at that time when Sachin was in Zimbabwe, he probably wouldn't have had that difficulty seeing it through. But yeah, it's a brilliant, optimized, excellent indoor-outdoor conditions display that we have.
Fantastic. So it's ideal for all kind of lighting conditions.
Absolutely.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, interesting part. Sachin, you talk about Test cricket being the real test as far as cricket's concerned. But the other formats have caught up as well. The one-dayers, the T20s, and right now it's all T20. IPL's on, things are on. That's what Mumbai Indians doing well. So you're happy about that as well. But very quickly, you're talking about setting targets, charging towards a particular thing, charging towards a result, minimizing risk as well at that point of time. So, when we talk about a phone lingo, we're talking about quick charge without overheating. How do you relate that to cricket? From a cricketing perspective, charging towards a target and making sure you minimize the risk to it?
In T20, you don't have time. You have to keep up with the pace of the game. And as I said earlier, that it's not to do with technique. Sometimes you can play pre-planned shots. Even before the bowler has started his run-up, we've planned your shot because we've kind of read his mind and looked at the field setting and you've planned your shot. Test cricket, there have been occasions where we've started playing a test match backwards. Now, many people would find that funny because what is it like start playing backwards? On day one, you actually think that if I bat in a particular way, there were a number of occasions when the batter gets criticized for not playing his natural game. Every day you can't go out and hit the same way. Sometimes you have to think, what would it be like for the opposition to chase 220 runs in the last day? And then you start working backwards, thinking of how the wear and tear of the surface would take place. And those kind of things really matter. But in today's world, we are used to moving rather quickly. Everyone wants, the newer generation wants everything right now. But from my experience, I feel that you can either have it right or you can have it now. You can't have both. God knows how you guys have managed right now to do it, but I know that to be able to give something instantly, and that is what I look at my phone. I feel I want quick results, and there is no time in today's world. You want to move on and you want to do things at a different pace, and charging your phone is no different. I think you need things to be done quickly and right now.
How do you manage that?
Well, I think it's important to have a very quick charge nowadays. So we are providing a quick charge 2.0 in in the device. We call it actually the coolest quick charge. We have probably the best thermal management in its device category. Now a lot of people, I'm pretty sure, are using quick charge on their devices here, but a lot of times while you're doing that, your phones heat up tremendously. I have heard stories about how high the temperatures can get. With this device, we promise you that if you are doing a quick charge, you can pick up the phone and still make a phone call. And it's not as if you are picking the phone and it's unbearably hot either in the hand or to the touch of the skin. This is the coolest quick charge that we have developed.
Well, picking up the phone right after charging and making a call isn't the only worry. The worry is what you do if you put it on your pocket. So you got to be a little careful with that as well. This takes care of it. Very quick scenario, Sachin. You talk about communication. Telephones, that's what it's all about. Cricket, it's all about communicating with your partner, communicating with the one you're batting with. Have you had any challenges where people have not been able to communicate with you, or opposition teams have gone on and said something?
Yeah, there were a few occasions where I had challenge in the team itself communicating, because I remember in 96, 97 when we went to South Africa, Doda Ganesh was one of those players who found it little difficult to speak Hindi as well as understand English. So anything I would tell him, I was captain at that time, anything I would tell him, he would say, yes sir. Anything. So his reply used to be, yes sir, thank you sir. So I said, stop calling me sir, he would still say, okay sir. So I was batting with him in Cape Town and Alan Donald was bowling. Alan Donald runs in and he bowls 2-3 quick deliveries. And he says something to him, in between the deliveries. And then once the over was done, we were all standing. I was standing with Doda Ganesh and Donald was right next to him. And he was saying something to him. So I told Alan Donald, are you trying to tell him something? I said, because I find difficult communicating with him. If you want to tell him something, tell me, I will make an effort. I can't promise you. So the moment he heard that, he just walked back. And I said, Doda, you don't worry, just continue batting. And his reply was, yes sir, no worries.
That's communication for you. How does the phone address this?
Well, we are, so because we have such an incredible chipset in place, and that gives a lot of, experiences that we can put in the device. So we have a dual SIM, dual LTE device. And the VoLTE is actually really next gen for all next gen networks as well. But interestingly, we did a lot of road tests across a bunch of cities, compared our device performance on data throughputs, on call drop rates, across a variety of devices, and we came up trumps on all cities, all conditions, all devices by easily about 25-30% all the time that we have done it. So anyone using our devices is going to significantly start understanding that call drops are not always about the networks. It's not about Airtels and the RGOs of the world. It's a lot about the tremendous engineering effort that you put in, the kind of components that you use, and that's why some of the top of the line components that we have used should really help people communicate really well.
So you'll be getting a thank you note from the mobile operators as well.
I
was alone going out there, scoring all those runs, and people appreciate it. But I feel this is one platform where I'd like to thank all those people who've contributed in making me what I am today, because without their sacrifices and their commitment, I don't think I would have been sitting here. So it's not just me alone, it's the teamwork.
Very aptly said, teamwork, and the fact that you owe a lot of your success to them. What about the phone in terms of durability? I think that's one big question every user has in his mind.
It's one of those things that if you have a device that's an ode to Sachin, you have to keep in mind. Considering that we are designed, engineered, manufactured in India, one thing that we know is how to make a device which takes the rough and tumble of Indian life into consideration. So we have the best drop test rates in the category in industry, which means that if you were to compare SRT phone against, let's say, competition in its category, if competition lasts 100 cycles of fall, ours will last at least 130, 140 cycles of fall. So we've created a device which is absolutely, as I said, designed, manufactured right from ID to everything else, and therefore it has given us a lot of control in building a really sturdy device. 30% better than anyone else.
Sorry, 30% better than anyone else.
Absolutely.
Okay, so it's Butterfingers proof.
It's definitely Butterfingers proof.
All right, fantastic. You know, I can carry on this conversation and ask Sachin questions about his life. I'm sure a lot of you also want to know. मेरा तो हमेशा ये दिल मांगे मोर कहता है कि as much conversation as is possible. But शायद पूरी शाम निकल जाएगी. तो दिल तो मांगे मोर, phone के लिए भी दिल मांगे मोर. Amit, is there something that you'd like to add in terms of features?
Sure, yeah. I mean, so we have a lot of other stuff as a part of the devices as well. So the device comes with an NFC. It is one of the blazing fastest fingerprint sensor in the world in its category. You can unlock this phone in like sub 0.1 seconds. It's actually 0.09 seconds to be precise. What we also have is a 13 megapixel rear camera. It's been optimized. It's autofocus PDAF. We have a 5 megapixel selfie camera, again optimized for low light performance. With that, what we're also doing is we're giving, so our IoT platform is the Tronix platform, and that gives you access to a lot of experiences across the device ecosystem. Now, Tronix essentially today is experiences across device ecosystem. It is what we call T-Care, which is your remote diagnostics on a device. We have a T-Store where you can go and buy a lot of stuff. And so there is a bunch of experiences that we are driving through Tronix. And what Tronix also does is that it's kind of forward-backward compatible from an IoT platform perspective. So tomorrow, anything that you plug onto our Tronix networks basically starts working. So yeah, there's a bunch of interesting experiences that we are driving as a part of this. I very quickly wanted to kind of talk also about how I know everyone who talks about their devices generally talks about in very flowery languages, but we've done a bunch of benchmark tests against a variety of devices. On gaming, this is the kind of results that you will get against a couple of different benchmark scores. If you were to see browser performance, again, something which we have brilliant results on, which show you overall performance results as well. So in that sense, really putting up a great performance device. Now, one thing that generally a lot of people don't like to talk about is how good a device is from a radiation and SAR perspective. If you compare this device on radiation, which I think everyone does need to talk about, compare it to other devices in its category, we are at 0.6 compared to everyone else, which is probably higher than 1, 1.4, 1.5 right now. So it's not only the amazing components, hardware, design, build quality that we have put out, tremendous amount of software innovation, or optimizations that we have done, of latest Android that we're going to do. I think we are trying to put together a device that can truly be called the performance masterclass in its price category, and therefore something which we believe is truly a note to Sachin here.
The most important number is what everybody wants to know. When you come down to this phone, what numbers are we looking at? We've got legendary numbers here. You know, legendary numbers in terms of career. What's the number with the phone?
Let me add one thing. So we have special edition, back doors, back covers as we call them. So you can actually customize your devices with these couple of back covers as well. We are launching this product exclusively on Flipkart, and it will be available starting today, immediately after we're through with this conversation. And as a part of launch offers in the initial days, we have a 1,500 rupees extra if you exchange your old device. You can actually buy it on equated monthly installment EMIs for as low as 1167. It's a no-cost EMI. We are also, in the launch offer period, shipping to our customers the signature Sachin back covers for free. And we are giving an extended, so generally the warranties are about 1 year. We're giving a 2-year warranty during this launch offer period.
Oh, that's a huge number. So generally what you say for a phone is, a phone with all of this is about 20K plus. So what's the final price of the phone that we've got?
So we are starting this device. We have two versions. We have a 32 gig version and a 64 gig version. The 32 gig version is at 12,999 and the 64 gig version is at 13,999.
Wow, those are amazing numbers, Amit. Thank you so much. And I'm sure very quickly everybody would like to see the product AV very quickly as well.
Absolutely. Can we get the AV please?
Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a quick look at this. Hang on for a minute. We'll come back to you, gentlemen. Let's first take a quick look at what this product's going to look like very quickly. That's what the phone's going to be looking like. Back cover. And look at that. The man's got the phone himself. That's the SRT phone, ladies and gentlemen, from SMARTRON. May I request the SMARTRON team to also come up on stage for a quick opportunity. We've got Narsi coming up, Amit joining in as well with Rohit. Ladies and gentlemen,